So, we're looking at AI. AI is not new, but its prevalence in popular culture is undoubtedly on the rise. The AI is everywhere, really, and that's becoming a cliche, I think, too. And that certainly reflects in the agenda we have at this year's event. AI has popped up more than it probably ever has before. Anthony, AI is your speciality. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and the company you founded?
Okay, yeah, great, thanks, Steve. My name is Anthony. I'm the founder of Better Futures. I spent I'm an aerospace engineer, and I spent mostly the last 15 years helping mostly manufacturers, aerospace, automotive, and in Central Europe, adopt advanced analytics, generative design, and AI before it was called AI, if you will. And in recent years, I spent a lot of time, I was very passionate about empowering engineers with data science, and getting them to actually adopt this technology. And it's, you hear all the typical AI companies, maybe like myself a bit in the past, promoting this technology. But in the reality, it's been also very frustrating, the adoption rate of it. And it's like literally broken in engineering manufacturing, and that's something we're trying to improve on at Better Futures.
So you talk about it being broken.
Yeah.
Why is AI adoption in manufacturing broken?
So it's been simply, like it works fundamentally as a technology, but the adoption of it is broken. So, and the best way is with data point, right? So there's here in the US, actually just about a year ago, there's a very good study released from the Census Bureau, the US Census Bureau, released a report that only 4% of manufacturers and engineers in the US have adopted AI successfully. And that was shocking for many, and we might hear that in the room even. For us, it was kind of like those who've been doing it for years, we kind of knew the inside, knowledge that it's not perfect. But why it's been like that, it's just way too, traditional AI before the GPT breakthrough has been super complex, super hard. I mean, you heard of some of the folks talking about autonomous here in the room and so on. Very, very hard, very complex, needs huge investment, access to talent and knowledge, IT investment. You need to make IT investment. You need to put your sensors on the devices you didn't need to do before. You need to create data lakes. You need to hire new types of people. And then there's the whole cultural aspect, which is a huge, we're not digital natives as engineers and manufacturers. It's hard for us to adopt these things compared to a Netflix and so on. So that's been the past, and what's really too expensive, too complex. The result has been you need to invest like a good six-figure, spend a year on it to get anything going. And it's been reserved, even in that report, it's been reserved not even just for OEMs, but just certain departments within these OEMs. So basically no one's doing anything with it in engineering.
So we have a poll. I think it's currently in the app. We can put it on the screen if you'd like to get involved in that. And Anthony can explain a little bit more about what paperwork actually means.
Yeah, so this is great. So on the one hand, you've got engineers are not using AI at all. That's nearly at zero. Arguably the greatest automation tool at our disposal in our generation. And on the other hand, us as engineers, we spend a lot of time on paperwork. So that being like, the certification, the elephant in the room we talked about all day, starting from the first panel. The challenge to, obviously it's important in our industry, we have to document and check and verify and so on. But it's a lot of work, and it's all manual and tedious work normally. So that's the big question, you've got this automation, and on the other hand, we're drowning in paperwork. So that's the question, how much time? It's going to be interesting to see what everyone says here.
Yeah, you can see the
and then I can give you some data points from some market research. Should we give it a few more minutes, or would you?
Yeah, please tell us what the real answer is.
Okay, so, well, there's, it's per company, but it's just interested to see here, it's still going. Wow, more than 40%, okay, 20 to 30. So in general, highly regulated industries like healthcare and aerospace, the average is about, it's typical about 50% in, let's say, the traditional aerospace. Now, I've been speaking a lot myself, interviewing various eVTOL leaders here in the room and beyond. and it's maybe like about, you hear about 30, maybe 40%, because like it's still a bit earlier and more innovative, smaller company, less complexity, but this will grow over time, I would expect, and that's reflected well by the stats here. Yeah.
So why is GPT such a big deal for engineering and advanced air mobility?
It's really exciting because it's those two problems that it solves. It can solve. It has the potential to solve. That's number one. Is AI adoption has never been easier. All the complexity I mentioned before falls away. Literally, like when we deploy assistants at engineers, there's zero data preparation, no need to know AI, et cetera, et cetera. All the complexity falls away. You can literally adopt this stuff. Some of our stuff on our website is like instant. In 5 minutes, you can use an assistant to help you. And that's the one problem, but someone said it earlier, no one wants technology, you want solutions to problems. So it's more important is that we can make a significant impact and automate this paperwork. And that's, up to 80%, report by report, case by, check by check, et cetera. We can use this technology to automate this paperwork and free up engineers. Like, it's a big deal. We can double figures, maybe up to 40%. Efficiency gains we can get, and we look at the numbers here, right? Nearly half the audience saying, whatever, let's take the 30% in the middle. What could you do if you could free up 15%, 20% of your engineering workforce? Looking at the eVTOL space, we did our own market research, from let's say 100 employees, or let's take 1,000, let's say a leader in the space, 50% of the employees or more are engineers. So like, that's, what could you do with that amount of capacity? You can apply it to cost reduction, et cetera. Yeah.
So how come everyone is not using it already? I mean, I think I could probably speak for most people in the room that you use AI. I know myself, I use it maybe once or twice a week, a prompt in ChatGPT or any other program, et cetera. What are the sort of key challenges for using it in this industry? Yeah,
okay, so, great question. So, like, it sounds too good to be true, right, what I said this far. But, you can't use large language models, your ChatGPTs, your co-pilots, your general assistant builders. Some engineers, pioneers have tried it, and we've worked a lot on this, obviously, and you certainly cannot use it in engineering. It doesn't work. Why? Because engineering is like super complex, right? Accuracy and control is a huge topic. So you've heard 10 to the minus 9 mentioned a few times today, right? So and someone talked about the recommender, right? So if you have a recommendation engine in Netflix or digital native or in Amazon, whatever, 95% accurate, wow, that's not good enough in engineering. That's not acceptable. We can't, we need 100%. And no one talks, that's a hallucination thing, but repeatability is a big thing. Our first early adopter customers, they got the right answer, but they didn't like how it was, sometimes it's 2 sentences, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes something else. It's really wild. It's not controllable. So that's why you can't use them. And engineering, we have very specific requirements and needs, and in a lot of cases they're very niche, and those just are not addressed by the generic big platforms.
So at Better Futures, you built an AI assistant for engineers. Yes. How can you compete with bigger players like Microsoft Copilot, for example? So first of all, Microsoft Copilot, we're actually on the Microsoft startup program. So I love Microsoft, they're great. Look, it's about the complexity maybe, if you think about it, complexity. We've got a nice diagram of this, I can, share another time. But if you look at the complexity of the use cases, so if some use cases like in the back office, or you want to write a marketing email or campaign and so on, these general assistants are fantastic at that. They're integrated into Teams and all the other stuff, right? But once you get into engineering, it's, you need to have standardized reports, you need to have integration into norms, certification, you need 100% accuracy, all these things. Tool integration, like there's thousands of tools like that engineers use, from a little script to the big PLM and ERP systems. So all that complexity is very, very niche, and these players are generic, right? So the best way to explain it would be, Excel is a very powerful tool. It's used in engineering, but you can't design
a wing with Excel. You need dedicated specific software to handle the complexity and handle the niche requirements, and that's why we have the PLM industry, CFD, CAE, and all those great tools that we need. And the same thing is with AI. So we're pretty bullish that we have a niche. I mean, so there's only 20 million engineers in the world, right? And that's extremely niche. So these companies are not looking at that. They're not looking at engineering. They want hundreds of millions of users and simple use cases, and they're very generic, right?
So we've talked a little bit about the potential business impact here of your AI engineer deployed at scale between various companies. Could you give me some concrete examples and potential use cases?
Okay. I guess since we're in the States, our first client in the States is, let's talk about them. They're on the website, so I'm allowed to mention it. Their story. So Spear Power Systems, they build advanced batteries for drones, marine and stuff like that. And they're owned by Sensata. It's a larger corporation that a lot of you may know. In aerospace is well known. Anyway, but their use case, we basically like support requests, right? So if you're, I don't know, you're on a typical e-commerce website, you can automate this support. There's a very typical use case to automate the support requests, right? To build an assistant to answer your support questions. Engineering is hard. It's damn hard. So what happens there when we're building our complex products and questions come in from the field, hey, we've got this problem, we got that problem, what do we do? They go straight through to engineering, and for them it was a significant tax on their engineering team who are looking to develop go forward, but they're really getting stuck with all these basic questions and basic to advanced questions. So we were able to build them an AI assistant. We deployed it within a month. That's our promise if they move fast enough. If they can move fast enough, we deployed it within a month, and they were in some cases able to reduce by 80% their lead time production of these support requests on their product from the field. And that saved, I don't think they mentioned that in the quote, so I'm not going to talk about the engineering efficiency, but it was significant, and improved customer satisfaction because they were answering quicker. But maybe that's less interesting for the folks here in the room because they're maybe not at that stage yet. It's just one example, a great use case of how we can deploy this and free up engineering time. And you can, improve customer satisfaction, you can reduce costs. That's the beauty of AI, right? If you find the right use case, you can apply it to optimize anything, right?
So you talked there about the 1 month lead time to deploy it at a company. What about the sort of the cost and the effort it takes to implement it?
So when we started out, we said, we put a promise, we said 10x. We'll do 10x faster, less cost and less risk compared to traditional AI. And, we've gone way past that. It's quite, now for us normal to do that. And actually going forward, we kind of have this, our vision is crystallizing more and more, but it's really instant AI. We want to make it, go from what I described before, the pain of that over the last years, to go to instant AI. So we actually built an app for the eVTOL space, since your engineers are spending loads of time writing requirements. So we built and we found a great use case we built an assistant to help your engineers write system requirements faster and higher quality. And what it does is it literally, you put your requirement in and it'll actually score it against the NCOSI standard. So that's a norm, an engineering norm, how to write good requirements. It's actually harder to do than you think. And that assistant explains it to you why. So a black box, another thing for engineering, it cannot be a black box. We do a lot of work around that. Explains why you got the score, shows the document, and teaches the engineer and helps them, particularly great for, let's say, less experienced colleagues to write better requirements faster. And to your point then, that we just said, look, every engineer can benefit from that. So that's available for free on our website. And any engineer can log in, and in 5 minutes can use this tool. So it's like the vision, instant AI adoption.
So talking there about the black box, could you tell us a little bit more about, and without giving the game away, of Better Futures itself, about how you've got around that deviation in response that you get out of the black box at the end of it?
Okay, so there's some basic things we put in first. First of all, is any answer you see the exact document in your company, your IP protected, no training in the model. data doesn't leave your server, etc. That has to be there. And then the first thing we did is like any answer, we show the engineer, hey, what's the service life of the whatever component. We open up from the thousands of documents, instantly show it to them, and the page. So they'll see it. Now, it's not replacing, it's complementing. All these use cases are complementing an engineer. That's why we always say 80% automation, because the last 20% you got to do yourself and you got to verify. So what's the question is how do we complement that, or from a technical perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So what we do is we have our own proprietary model, and which is optimized. EVA is the name of the platform, Engineering Verified Assistant, and the engine we have optimized for engineering queries, and it gets better and better and better. That we add with the, let's say, your commodity knowledge off the shelf, whatever LLM model you guys want to use, and eventually they'll be like open source or especially for military and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we combine with a lot of other algorithms and things that engineers, like for example, we need to read drawings. It's very important. So we are adding in our own algorithms to do that and to improve on that. So we're combining multiple types of AI algorithms to make it more higher accuracy, higher repeatability, and in some cases we can guarantee 100% accuracy through additional functionality we have in the platform.
So we've got a question in here from the audience, and feel free to ask them more if you'd like. But it says here, are there AI tool vendors that my company can hire to preserve corporate privacy while using AI tools for, say, aircraft design?
AI tool vendors that my company can hire? Yeah, so the first thing is the privacy, IP protection, no training, and security. That's like the number one requirement, right? And anyone doing anything in the space, building a platform like ourselves and others, that has to be there, or else, no one's going to use it, okay? So it has to be a basic requirement for anyone. So the answer to that question is yes, and that's actually what a lot of people are, particularly, like say, the larger OEMs, have been paying a lot of money to SIs to build these things for them. And they're just, we're trying to explain to them that there's an alternative. Now we're the first platform in the market that you have an alternative to do a lot faster, a lot cheaper, and the economies of scale with a platform versus do it yourself or make for, yeah.
So you're the alternative then? We're
the alternative option, yeah. And there's a lot of advantages, and over time, obviously, the economics of that, we offer the same, right, with the IP protection and so on. And over time, that's always the case, right? You have first full services, then come the platforms, self-service, etc. The total cost of ownership, economics will win on the platform. Yeah.
So finally, any predictions for how the deployment of AI engineering assistants will change how we operate, or this industry operates?
Okay, for particular to this industry.
To advanced air mobility or aerospace more generally.
Yeah. Predictions. Okay, I think and I'd love to discuss this afterwards, others, but if I think of the pain that we're trying to address, this paperwork, I think this is going to increase for this group of this industry, because as you industrialize, there's some papers on this, as the number of requirements increase, the size of your organization, the supply chain gets bigger, and it goes industrialization, et cetera, et cetera. As the complexity of your organization increases, so does the paperwork and knowledge management and so on. So as I said, it's going to go from the 30, maybe they said before, to the 40 and the 50, right? That's one prediction. Then on the technology, the solution, let's say, GPT and this breakthrough is only getting started, is going to get more powerful. And what you will see is, and Sam Altman says this, that's his prediction, and I'm taking his prediction, but I agree with him. Someone famously asked him the other week, what would you do? What company would you start if you were 25? And he said, I'd start a company that's building a vertical solution for something like, I think he actually did say something like engineering manufacturing. It was just an example. But what you'll see is these this commodity layer of technology, and you're going to see vertical kind of solutions. You're going to have your AI system platform, or as model just for lawyers, and then just for doctors, and then just for engineers. So I predict we absolutely need this platform, and it's going to happen. It's a big deal for engineering, and I think we've got a big chance to automate and accelerate certification evenly. And I hope that we're the pioneer, the first, and I hope we're going to stay and lead it going forward. Yeah.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Great
thanks,
having you
Steve.
here.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Thanks.